Good evening and welcome to In Conversation with Thabang, the podcast that aims to move people from crisis to control. Kajeno, we are so honored renale Dr. MOBOYA. O besaga re mo batla mona le mane Dr. o tshwere ka thata o fetola fapa lena la thuto mme re mo bitsitse hore ka mora ditekanyetso tsa hae she must come and tell us what are key priorities. Re mo tlile le ka summit ya di primary ha di beya mono hona le ntwe ke ratile mono ya diphoofolo tse ka borena jwale ke jwetse Dr. Kara le nna ke tlo di joina ba ke batla borena ke tswala boreneng. Dr. MOBOYA, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Thabang.
Yeah, doctor.
And welcome to your listeners and viewers.
Thank you very much. Doctor, I want us to look at the critical challenges that the department wishes to address in the Free State. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Thabang. Of course, Thabang, we are running a very big system.
Yes.
The system that consists of more than 1,000 schools.
Yes.
That would be your public schools as well as your independent schools. But also where we are dealing with almost 700,000 learners who are in the system and more than 21,000 teachers. So it's quite a big system.
It's quite a big number, yes.
So inherently, I think challenges are inevitable. They will always be there. Yes. We do have challenges. Yes. But perhaps in the context of the summit that we had over the past 3 days, yes, I would then say, remember the core business of this department is teaching and learning.
Yes.
So therefore, the biggest challenge we face in that context, in the Free State, and not only in the Free State, of course in the whole sector, is the alarming state of what we call foundational learning. We really have a serious problem, particularly in reading and numeracy, and the effect thereof on the learning outcomes as a whole.
Yes.
So this is the crisis that we must all confront with urgency. I think that's the reason why we had to convene that summit that we had in the past 3 days. Now, you would know that our approach as a system is quite data-driven. Okay. Now, in this case, we are driven by our own assessments. Yes. So there are international assessments that we participate in, and the results thereof are quite alarming. We do have what we call the Pearl study, which deals particularly with, reading literacy of learners who are 10 years of age, who would be in your grade 4.
Yes.
Now, that study has revealed that nationally, 80% of our learners cannot read for meaning.
Doctor.
Now, in the Free State alone, we are talking about a total of 61% of grade 4 learners who are unable to read for meaning. Now, that in itself rings, a serious alarm to say to us, we need to do something about the situation. This is a profound national concern that has direct implications on the learner's entire educational journey. Because remember, if you cannot read for meaning, no matter how many textbooks you give you, no matter how good your teachers are, at the end of the day, reading is it's a tool for you. So if you can't read for meaning, so it means you will never be able to succeed. It's not only in terms of reading, but when you look at the performance of our learners in mathematics, for instance, we do have some international studies that we participate in. Yes. That is called TIMS, Trends in Mathematics and Science Study. So that the results have also shown that maths performance remains consistently low across early grades, especially in under-resourced schools. So these two areas, that is reading and numeracy, are the bedrock of all future learning. Matric results have shown that there are systemic challenges in terms of quality. I know that everyone says we are doing well, but because we do our own analysis of the results, we know that We are not doing that much well in terms of quality of our results, especially in our gateway subjects, like your maths and science. Even the participation rate is quite low, where some of the learners decide that they wouldn't want to do mathematics and would choose to do something else. So we also have quite serious challenges around the throughput rate, the rate at which our learners move throughout the system. We have learners who are staying in the system for more than 12 years, when ordinarily learners who have started schooling at grade 1 are supposed to be in the system for 12 years.
Yeah.
Now you have learners who are overaged simply because they have not been doing well. But we also have learners who drop out. Because obviously they will be frustrated by the system. Of course, others would exit to other, learning institutions, your higher learning institutions, and so on. So these two areas, reading and numeracy, are the ones that made us to say, can we then adopt a systemic approach in terms of fixing these challenges that we are talking about? So those are challenges that relate to, teaching and learning directly. But over and above that, of course, we do have other challenges like inequalities in school infrastructure, insufficient psychosocial support, ICT limitations, teacher shortages, especially in critical areas. Like your maths and science, and that would particularly relate to areas such as your Harib. We are struggling to get good teachers. Even if we happen to get them, they don't stay there because that area is quite rural and so on. So the summit helped us to zoom in on these areas and try to say, what are those strategies that we can come up so that we can improve the quality of teaching and learning in primary schools. And you would know that there is generally this obsession with grade 12 and your foundations, like your primary schools, your ECD, have always been neglected. So that is why now we are trying to refocus our attention and our energies to where it matters most.
Yes. I just want to check, Dr. MOBOYA, when coming to other stakeholders, particularly parents, are you intending maybe to have session with them? Because obviously, when I grew up in a teacher, learner, and a parent relationship, because this thing started at home. So I'm not sure if Dr. Onali, any other things that you intend to do to engage parents, because you've met with the teachers. And secondly, this one year, grade 12, yes, we've always saying we are simply the best province. And I've listened to you when you were saying, no, but we're looking at grade 12s, but the problem is there at the foundation. What are the strategies around those from the parents to addressing these whole other challenges? Yes, Doctor.
Yeah, definitely. You would also have noticed that in our commissions, one of the themes was actually dealing with the issue of parents.
Yes.
Because we have also realized that parenting is something that for the longest time we have been taking it for granted, thinking that every parent can definitely parent effectively. So we have realized that there is a gap whereby you would expect these learners to get support from home, especially at this age. Remember, at this age, they are still in the hands of their parents, most of them. So we have already started in that. We had what we call numeracy and literacy extravaganza, where we were going out to communities, communicating with parents, showing them how to parent with assurance, showing them how to assist their learners, especially in these areas, in terms of reading as well as mathematics. You know, when we grew up, we were very fortunate because our own parents would make you to read.
Yes.
Just to brag. They would give you the Bible to say, can you read for us? And that's how we learned to read, because we were reading both at home as well as at school. Now we have a situation now where some of these learners I would also, maybe to a certain extent, also blame technology, because there's poverty of text. You know, there is absolute poverty of text, and in some households, there is absolutely nothing to read. There's no Bible, there's no textbook, there's no this and this. The only thing that they read probably would be textbooks, and because textbooks also get lost, they only have the opportunity to interact with text when they are at school. So we have brought that to the attention of, creating awareness amongst the parents to say that it is important that our learners should be able to read. That is why I prefaced my speech when we opened that summit with the reading of that piece, because I was actually reminding people about where we come from, and also posing a question to say, how did we get here? What has happened? Because we used to read with passion. Our parents used to read for us. We used to, do all those things. We used to play school, like your mantluane, but we used to play school. We were reading, writing, and so on. So it was sort of a question to say, how did we get here? What happened to those methodologies that were used by our old teachers? What happened to the love for reading that was there? Because in our days, anything that you came across with, you would read. And there were a lot of other things. I remember there was this game where we would say, the number plates are OVB, then just testing ourselves. Yes, OVB, Vredefort, OV Paris, and so on. So those were the days, and that's why we were a bit, nostalgic about where we coming from.
The other part that is very...
So we are doing those road shows. I did the road shows myself last year after my after my budget vote. I went out, I met parents, very excited. But you would also see in our strategies, now they are saying, look, some of these things, why don't we have webinars, for instance, for parents?
Yes.
And we take them through how they can help these learners to read, to count, and so on. So that's why I saw the strategies that they're coming from. They came up with, because I was part of yesterday's plenary, where they were reporting quite exciting things that they're coming up with. Amongst them, they are saying, and I found it quite interesting to say, parents now, you might take them for granted, but meeting, so why can't we use their devices in a very productive and efficient way? So that's the route we are going to take.
The other part that is very important in our schools, the SGB, the governance of the school. I was once an SGB chairperson, and I know challenges that comes with that, because in some cases you find that chairperson, but that the governance of the school, because I think that's one thing it's stable. I don't know what's your thought about it.
This current cohort of SGPs, they were installed last year, and immediately after their installation, they went through induction, and we think that the very same approach that we are taking with our teachers of continuous professional development, I think that's the posture that we should also take. Because remember that we change them from time to time, and even the challenges are different from year to year. So we also have to take them on board. I know that we are also working with the South African Democratic Teachers Union to train them on financial management, amongst other things. But it's not only that, we also train them on other areas as well. So they do get a continuous support from the department.
MEC, there is another challenge of the gangsterism. Yes, in the Free State I haven't seen that much, but when you look at provinces like Gauteng, it's really bad. So I'm wondering what are the plans, because I would know that in some schools, especially in towns, you'll find that there's a cop or a police that work with the school. But in our township, it's a bit of a challenge. I don't know what's your thinking around the safety of the school so that we create a conducive learning.
Yeah.
Yes.
That you are correct. We have a myriad of these, behavioral challenges that we are experiencing in schools. And of course, some of these they would differ from area to area.
Yes.
But what we have done, we have identified what we call hotspots.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Schools that we would regard as hotspots. For instance, like you are talking about gangsterism, it would not be rife in other areas, but most definitely it is rife in Mangaung. It is rife in Botshabelo as well. And you have issues of bullying as well, all these, behavioral challenges that we have. But what we are currently running now, I wish you could maybe go to the one of Lejuel Puzo has already done it. We are doing some campaigns on school safety.
Yes.
So 𝐍𝐶𝐈𝐎 𝐍𝐈𝐓𝐇 will be hosting theirs on this coming Saturday. I wish you could just, have a chance to go there.
Yes.
We are taking a different approach now to say, the victims of all these social ills that we are talking about are the learners and the teachers. I'm not talking only about vandalism, because when we talk about school safety, we also include the well-being of our teachers as well as our learners. So we have taken an approach that says we cannot be sitting in our boardrooms and theorize about these things, when actually the learners and the teachers are the ones who are experiencing this. So we are currently running what we call safety campaigns, right? And we are doing them in each and every district. Other districts have already done them. I know we are only left with Thabo Mofusanyane, which might be today or tomorrow, and then 𝐍𝐶𝐈𝐎 𝐍𝐈𝐓𝐇 is on Saturday.
Yes.
So what we do in that, we invite parents, we invite educators and all the stakeholders in those events. And then the learners themselves are the ones who are doing some debates, public speaking, because what we want to do is to craft, strategies on how to deal with this, starting with early identification so that you are able to notice those signals when a child is going through, trauma or something, but also to come up with preventative measures, but also to say when this has happened, what then should be done, So the learners themselves are telling us as to what is it that because they are the ones who are experiencing these things.
Yes.
So we have debates around that. They are also dramatizing some of these things, they themselves. Because, we do have a program on values in education. But in most cases, it's just theory that we have read somewhere. And we tell the learners, democracy says what? No, I said, let's change the approach.
Yeah.
So when we do these campaigns, right, it's an event, and then it will have all those activities where learners are acting out the experiences of bullying and so on, when they are doing public speaking about it, where they are doing the writings about it, all those things. But at the end, we also have some sporting activities that are taking place, because we're also saying to prevent this, you need to take them away. Now, one of the learners who was in the panel, because we make them to have their own panels in those events, said to us, look, we must make it a point that we keep this learner, you keep us busy, right? Because immediately we are disengaged. That's when then we join the gangs. That's when then we become victims of sexual harassment and so on. So they said to us, can you make it a point that there is sports at school all the time?
Yes.
So therefore, we have also now been challenged in terms of our own programs, the sports, to say, but Lunati programs, are scored, can you stop and no go? because the manner in which they are structured.
Yes.
Ba di dirile ba di bitsa di knockout.
Ke di knockout wa
So it means ke ba petse I1 sekolo sa ka se ba petse I1 re tswile ho fedile.
ga rena di league mo re mathetjena.
Why bona? So I said we must do the same way as we are doing ke bo PSL. Where every school will have to play this number of games. So that they play continuously. It must be a permanent feature of our schools. Why bona? But they also have what they call Magnificent Wednesday. That Magnificent Wednesday, it suggests in itself that sports is Wednesday fair. And naki dulale a grade 11 learner mole wako Eunice. Every day. So this kid was just saying, I'm just trying to show you when you get into dialogue with the learners, there are so many ideas that will come up that will help to strengthen our strategies in terms of dealing with these things, the social area.
Because I agree with you. We grew up in a period where we were told that the child that doesn't play does not perform well in the classroom.
Yes.
So, vandalism.
Yes.
Because I think it's one of the problems that we really need to talk about. In your province, vandalism is one MEC.
Yeah, I would say it is quite rife. It's also compounded by issues about poverty, issues joblessness and so on. So it is bound to happen in one way or the other because but way to saka whatever. So in that case, we are trying. I know that our schools are struggling a bit because we are not able to hire security personnel in most of the schools. I also always want to be open about issues. Our budgets do not allow us. Budgets are at least really focus more the educators or debating more than anything else. So the challenge, but other schools are also devising some means to make sure that at least by minimize those incidents of vandalism. But our approach to issue of vandalism is also to say when we engage communities, we also make them aware that these schools are actually their own assets, their own inheritance. So that libona, security should be communities. Highly handled. Highly handled communities are supposed to be the ones by ensure safety school as their own assets. So that's what we are trying to encourage. But other schools, of course, they would have those security measures in place. Yeah.
MEC, that with our kids most of the time, teachers, is there any psychological support that you give? Because honestly speaking, they are going through a lot. I've read another report where I fear that most of the teachers wants to leave the education. So,
yeah, this is quite an emotive issue. But then, one about psychological support, it's after the fact.
Okay.
So we have also taken a different approach to say, can we be preventative and make sure that in our teacher development programs, we embed the issues, it's what we call soft skills.
Okay.
Yes. Amongst them, you have those ones about psychosocial this and this. You also have said it's about emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Yeah, remember, if you are emotionally mature, you will be able also to handle the situation much better. We are not saying they are not doing it, but we also equipping them with those communication skills. They are very important. It can't just be about mathematics content, mathematics this. It's also about all these other things so that they can be able to cope with the situation. You are right, our teachers are overwhelmed. But it's also about how then can they be able to manage the situation. So that is our approach. We have embedded those soft skills in our programs to make sure that they cope and thrive in any situation.
mme o la bua ka budget o ra e ngata, but I want to go back to the issue of supporting learning. Your strategies around that, supporting learning, or re be sure as much as we are challenged ki the budget, but now how we do it then support learning. Yes.
Remember, that is our core business.
Yes.
So definitely we are doing it. And I know that one of your questions was about resources.
Yes.
And when I looked at it, I said, it's not only about, availability of those, it's also about the efficient and effective usage thereof. Because in Ghana, we maths lab, and libraries, we do have science labs. But some of them they are not even using them. So it's all about also creating that awareness and making sure that we equip teachers with the necessary skills for them to make use of those. Very encouraging, because with this summit, I made it very clear to say, as a summit, extra money because we don't even have extra money. So principles about creativity, principles about innovation, I think they are very important because a simple thing, you can't claim bana counter. When in their environments, sticks, bottle tops, so government then regulate in twin. So that mentality, the mindset is also very important. So libody games, meeting, argue the games, the associate necessarily internally technology. Yes. And I was like, we do have our own indigenous games. There's so much maths in Khati. There's so much maths in the ghetto. There's so much maths in Murabaraba. Yes. So all those indigenous games, including language, by the way. Yes. There's a lot of language involved because only the rules. No, the rules. Can we read the rules? We also promote reading for meaning. The karata to the bapala the karate crazy 8. Hey, why one? I can't read the rules. Yes. Now you write down those rules about Adibale and then how do you apply? Then you understand how this child has read for meaning. And you look at what happens. Hababapala diketo. Ki mentelo about 2. Nen ki mentelo about 3.
Yes.
About 4. But osonzo baruta ling. Then data handling.
Okay.
Because Baka is a table. Or after the first row, after the second row, it's 4 coding and so on. Very nice.
Yes.
But the other thing, is also important, especially with math.
Yes.
The love for mathematics. Yes. So bana ba ka rata mathematics, bana ba ka rata puo ya bona. Ba tloela ho nna ba mixa dipuo ba etsa. Ha bua Sotho a bua Sesotho. E seng tshwane butswang wana mo ke tswang temperance. Mo ba tsamang ba kenya bo in everything that they are saying. So re bone ka ntate Thabang. Re bona the results in the matric.
Yes.
Bana ba KZN ba produce the highest number ya the distinctions in isiZulu.
Ba proud to kasona.
It is because ba proud to kasona and that pride e bontsha ba tlhompa culture ya bona, ba tlhompa their culture ya bona, language ya bona is very important. Now rona mona the rate ya distinctions e tlase ya Sesotho. Because Ras Swabela, Bara Outlass, Le Mona High, Blomfontein, by pieces by Puella Tlakata. So Banabata, Bajan to say Nepa and as a Sutu see important, poor young one, it's really important to have Hulu Lemons and I'd say,
you check Brazilian players, you check everywhere in the world. Ronaldo, they prefer their own language than any other language. MEC, ke batla re tle ntlheng ya pele re tlo phethela puo ya rona. Ke batla re tle ntlheng ya the business community. Because we are challenged in terms of the budget. I'm not sure na interaction ya MEC department with the business community. For them, I mean, Ronaldo model location, and they can invest or adopt some schools to make sure that we support learning. Or na approach what is it that you think about it? Yes.
Yeah. Look, Dr. Tabang, I wouldn't say there hasn't been that relationship or partnership with our partners in education, nor with our service providers.
Yes.
But I think what we are coming up with is sort of a more structured way of doing it.
Yes.
So for the whole month of May and June, I've been going out to meet with our partners. Yes. I've been to big offices. I've been to Investec in Sandton. I've been with Harmony Mining. I've been with NG. NG is a renewable energy company.
Yes.
That is operating in Machabeng. I've had engagements with Old Mutual. We are meeting with them.
Yes.
But what we are doing actually is a build up to the partnership summit that we are going to have,
yes,
where we will be sitting down with business, with our partners, and telling them about the challenges that we have so that they appreciate the situation that we find ourselves in.
yes,
And then so that we can be able to say, look, we appreciate the fact that at times you go to schools and give them 20 pairs or 50 pairs of schools.
yes,
But
yes,
if our vision is the same, because that's what we are going to share with them, our vision. Because our vision is very clear to say that we want to provide education of the highest quality, education that is inclusive, and education that is responsive to the needs of our economy.
yes,
So when we talk to them, we're taking them along so that we work with a shared vision
yes,
with them.
yes,
So that haba etsa dieta ba understand hore re na le vision.
yes,
We want them, for instance, to help us to expand dikolo tsena tse re di bitsang ka gore ke di technical high schools,
exactly,
dikolo tse re di bitsang ka gore ke di agricultural high schools, because they speak directly to the economy of the Free State.
Free State,
Wa bona?
yes,
So that's what we are doing.
Your personal journey, I wanted to come to that. Your personal journey, because there are speakers out there who speaks. Thabang is a life coach and a performance coach, but you listen to Thabang, but you won't necessarily get that, because as a person speaks, what gives you motivation is what they say and the passion that they portray. So I salu ko bona o fitla department bona ke bona motho a nang le lerato for ntwa etsang mara hape motho a tseba ntwa etsang. So personally wena MEC ha o re kgutsufaletsa yo journey o re bolela hore MEC a fihle mo a leng teng mona, what are the steps? Because we are saying in this podcast we're moving people from crisis to control. And yes, MEC came across some challenges in life, but she's still standing. Yes.
Yeah, and Dr. Tabang, this is a difficult one. Yeah, of course, the challenges will always be there.
Yes.
Just for starters.
Yes.
Now I grew up not parents. That's point number one. I became orphaned at 13. And by that time, it was not fashionable to be an orphan.
No.
But an orphan a fighter. I'm not going to allow anyone to call me an orphan.
Sure.
Because I do have my brains. They will liberate me. Brains. So I rata school through and through. People will tell you.
Yes.
So re hotse na kontsele tsa bo JC mo eleng hore rona dikolo tsa bonto tsa bo 100% a qala di bona. Na sekolo se ke tswang ho sona sa Piellang ko Paris. Ne le sekolo sa 100%. Then I went to Mamboy High School and so on. ka etsa matric ya ka. I know ke ne ke bile le some misunderstanding le batho ba ne ba nggodisa my aunt, for instance, because ke family ya di professionals, ya ma teacher ko bo mme wa ka. So they wanted me to be a teacher, and I was like, no, I'm not a material ya bo teacher. Ke re ga ithetsa o tsebe ga thetsa, hey we have varsity ya kae. So unfortunately ne ke sena those means, so I ended up ke etsa bo teacher ba teng ke boentse bona nna ke re bale ba kana go tsa gona no shebuwa di results tsa go maths and science, therefore tsama solo ruta ke ha ke tswa high school ke passe matric ka 1978 ka 1979 ha ke ruta high school ne ke ruta some of them di matriculants. So ha o ka bona batho ba reng ke ba rutile o tla tshuwa because ba golo ke yona unfortunate situation ya go ka baka la go hloka tšhelete ke iphuana ke ya teaching ke teacher ka grade 12, but ho nona le menyetla e mengata ya bo di crash course, I etsa bo di crash course. Then I went to varsity. Na varsity education aka ke ifumane ka part time. So part time I was able to get my junior degree in 3 years, record time. Then I did other degrees, Libo UNISA, other degrees, and then the pinnacle was when I got a scholarship to go and study masters in a maths education go UK, University of Leeds. Against the Google like the universities are overseas. So le check ka tsona they top universities around. So ke kene ko Leeds University, I went there ke thotse scholarship.
Yes.
So the British Council. So I stayed there for almost 2 years. Got that master's degree. Then I came back. Ki hona fela mo ke entseng degree full time. All these other bells signal tsona tse dingata ke di krile ki khwantlela because na sa le ke le motho o focused. Ha ke etsa ntho ka yetsa.
Yes.
I remember then yaba life ya ka ya mosebetsi ge kana ko ntse ke ha ke ya kwana a so ne ke sa sebetsa ne sentse ke le a lecturer ya mathematics ko college ko Qwaqwa. So I lectured a lot of teachers ba ka ba metse ke kopana le bona
ka ba le teaching sa le ka gisana ka be ke kene class ka ba le MC.
So ka ba maths lecturer, then from there ka ba a subject advisor mathematics ko 𝐂𝐍𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐒 district kana ko ne bitswa Northern Free State. So I became the subject advisor. From there there's the time mo kile ka ya ko di maspaling.
Okay.
I worked go maspaling as a director. Ya corporate services. Then from there ka ya go housing. Very adventurous, I can make it diversify as well.
Yes.
So from housing, monekeli chief director thing. Ona mona Bloemfontein.
Yes.
Then beke iswakamu education. Kana kwenta tate na fitla ka 2009. Then the premier then Tate Magashule then said no, you must go. You see, you must go and help Tate Kamani. Then I came back to education.
Yes.
I got focused. That's where go education and now I can fitla. And Tate bear the targets at Zarona. That's where we then set the target. At 2009, we want to be the #1 province in the country. Kanako province ya rona ne le number 5. In never 5, 6. Then we took that conscious decision, and there were Thomases who said it will never happen, and
it happened.
3 years, 4 years down the line, we became #1, and we never looked back. So from there. Then in 2011, I decided to say, no, it's about time. I got a PhD.
Yes.
So got 2011, I took that conscious decision and I went to 𝐿, all the necessary things. A proposal, something like that. Leona, it's a process. You evaluate, or does it make sense? Is it something that will contribute to research or what? So I got it right. Then I did my PhD. It took me 2 years. I know, but 5, I was very focused. During that period, I'm still struggling even now with my sleeping patterns. Every day without fail, only 4 hours. I would sleep at 2. Get to work at 6 and I came it became a culture. It was normal. So when I ke 6 hours, ke bolela lefatshe kaofela hore ke tla ka robala monate. So that's where I am now.
Yes.
Then I ke fetsa to my PhD. Then ka apply labo Deputy Director General. Go Department of Basic Education. So I went there from 2016. I worked there up to 2020. Most of the policies, mother tongue instruction, the policies, incremental introduction of African languages, all of those. At least I was part of the leadership that initiated all this. So I'm actually, most of the things, I'm like, yeah, at least I did contribute. I was there.
Yeah.
So Kayako, DBE, I became the Deputy Director General. Now the Deputy Director General, you are second in command. Responsible for curriculum.
Yes.
So I was responsible for curriculum nationally. Yeah. Then from there, life being life, fate being fate, I had to take early retirement because my husband was not well. And so I had to come home. Got 2020. And unfortunately, got 2022, he passed on. May his soul rest in peace.
Yeah,
Then, ebe ho tlatsena tsa rona tsa dipolitiki he. Ebe se ke le mona he. Se ke fitla ke rwetse a different cap.
Ke batla hanyanyana ke bue ka taba ya before re tla nthong tse tharo jwale ke tlo di fokotsa tse sa robatseng hona jwale. How would you define leadership? Ki wonu tla ka di leadership role tse ding, and kai mona South Africa we see things collapsing and people will always say leadership. Ki dintlha di feng tseo ka reng ke dintlha tsena tse tharo tse ke nanang hore if you are a leader Thabang, you need to take them into consideration. Yes.
Who is it about hey, leadership, how about do medicine? That thing is very difficult. In the first place, as a leader, you have to be a visionary. You have to have, that thing. Because once you have that vision, then you will rally people to support your vision. And you can only succeed in that if you lead by example. I've seen, but they look at you and say, but wena how hloleha ho dula sa meeting e qadileng ko wena. Unana rona re tlo dula mo. So you have to lead by example all the time, but with vision. And o tsamaye tsela ena le batho ba hao. And also the other thing is to let other people ba khona ho ntsha potential ya bona. So leadership e lengwe ke leadership e kwallang innovation is not leadership. Because as a leader, you also need to make other people to grow. I love this quotation ya Mama Charlotte Maxeke. E reng ha o thola monyetla, tshwara mothomo o nyolohe le yena. And that's the leadership I think that we should all the time advocate for. Now I am this leader is a believing hore ke tlamehile ke shine ke le mong. You have to have other people who shine, because the more nalebato around you, they will make you to shine more. Abato nka the limelight ya hao. Instead, baitsa ho shine more. I think in a nutshell, that's what I would say. I cannot bully ka buka hore definition ya leadership. I'm talking about what I'm actually doing, and then tricky bonang, and also to make sure, guys, above all, you know, Che Guevara o bua ka issue ya lerato to say revolutionary is not that quality of love as yona.
Yeah.
So love, Leona, is quite important. We have to love our people. We have to love, you know, and also love yourself.
Yeah. Ntlha tharo in closing MC re qetile. Se sa o batseng bosigo. Hona jwale mona mo leng ke mona. Ha o re thotsena tse tharo ha di nrobatse. Yes.
I think it's on to tse re buang ka tsona tsa foundational learning. Anka bona bana ba di primary schools tsa rona. Di le functional, fully functional. I'll be the happiest person. But the other dream e ke nang le yona ke yona ya ho batla ho bona offer education a more inclusive. And you know ha ke bua ka inclusivity. Ha ke batle fela re bua in terms of bana le body learning barriers, but also in terms of the preferences tsa bana. You know the system. Re face bana because ha re ka ba ga batla ho tseba gona ba inclined to what. Hona le ngwana mong a ratang the skills programs. O mong o highly academic. Azo bana ba dong is because na re ba channel ka ofela or ba be very academic and bana ba bang ha ba khona ho thrive ka baka. So if we could have a situation where maybe there's a 50-50, you know, balance in terms of the type of schools that we have, or the type of programs that we offer, so that re fana ka di skills programs. The other thing that we are doing ke ena ya multi-certification, because you have a system, a very, can I say unfair, when one now can school years, almost 12 years. I back in go grade 1, I back in grade 13 years. Marotswaka only one pampir. 13 years. Hi ba aka se pass. Hi ba ka pass. Utlazwaka one certificate. So I introduce that thing ya multi certification, so that bana ba khona etsa short courses, a tswa matric mone, a tswa anale a couple of, you know, certificates. Le a facing daram o tla ba tshwere tsheng. So ntse re tietsa tsa bo agriculture ka ta ho etsa bana ba about 400 I think ba ileng hore ba khona thola those certificates tsa bo lamb rearing, tsa bo ho dadinku, tsa bo di in, but the other one ke ele ya arc what is it, arc engineering or something like that. Arc engineering e re etsang le Track SA. So we are also partnering with these companies to make sure that whatever they have, say in the short courses, from grade 10 up to grade 12, those certificates. So the other one, in terms of the skills, what I'm talking about. So the other one, because there's a problem, autism.
Yeah, no, it's serious, yes.
Ingata bana ba bangata ba na le those things about autism spectrum in so my wish to sang go batseng ke hore ha rena enough schools za autism. We only have one school selling sa autism mona Bloemfontein, o tloa mo re na le di autism classes in other, you know, so but you can see that there's a huge need for that. Autism, and also to expand the number of special schools, because batswadi ba sokola ka bana, including the teacher ba frustrated because they don't know how to handle bana ba jwana. So I think those are the there are so many things that make me not to sleep. But inselin thoga intsekile muthas nambro. Anyway, what's about thola di message tsaka kana ko mantati. Midnight.
No, doctor. Swansi ke tlo officing ya ke mothata wa ka ke robale. Ke a o manuela peng o tshenta temo robane. Ha e sa lu dutsi ka mo ha o robale ke ha o robadi se. Doctor tlo tswela pele. We'll invite you again because we must continuously empower our people ka knowledge. Especially in Tolkatang, where I know your autism, I drop my little one in one car garage, and one out demon and Alumbatata. Now, could say, you fish out Labanse, or you know, Bumeva Christian Mole, Habakuno, Impa Doctor MOBOYA, thank you very much. What an inspirational interview, and we've learned a lot. And now, Free Staters and the world understand hore na mme o ya kae ebile o hlaloseditse le ka ntho ena hore o tshwanetse bona di outcome. You must have a vision and see the outcomes and put actions to place. Ke thabetse le na o buleng doctor ya hore ha re tlweleng di meeting rata meeting tse ngata mara action
let's go
action ya hiyo re le
too much English.
Yeah, thank you very much Dr. Bamwe.
Thank you very much.
That was in conversation with Thabang. That's how we come to the end of the interview. Till we meet again next time, God bless.